Hi, everyone. I'm Jeff Glor in New York with our continuing coverage. We do expect a response to today's testimony soon from President Trump's attorney. But former FBI Director James Comey is now on the record, telling the Senate Intelligence Committee he took comments from President Trump as a direction to drop the investigation into Michael Flynn and, quote, lift the cloud of the Russian investigation. He did not describe the president's actions today as obstruction, but he did say repeatedly that he found them disturbing.
I don't think it's for me to say whether the conversation I had with the president was an effort to obstruct. I took it as a very disturbing thing, very concerning.
After that briefing, you felt compelled to document that conversation, that you actually started documenting it as soon as you got into the car.
I was honestly concerned that he might lie about the nature of our meeting, and so I thought it really important to document. Either he had concluded or someone had told him that you've already asked Comey to stay, and you didn't get anything for it, and that the dinner was an effort to build a relationship. In fact, he asked specifically of loyalty. My common sense told me what's going on here is that he's looking to get something in exchange for granting my request to stay in the job.
All right, so a few highlights from the hearing. Caitlin Huey-Burns is a CBSN political contributor and a Real Clear Politics reporter. Caitlin, good to see you.
Good to see you, too.
Quite a morning.
Quite a morning indeed.
As Washington and the world now digest, what are you thinking about first?
Well, a couple of things. First, the way in which Comey described what he took to mean from these conversations. Remember, he had already detailed the conversations in that memo, in that document that he released yesterday. Today was striking because he submitted those for the record and then went on to describe the nature of those conversations and the details which were important. First, he said he was concerned that the president would lie about their conversations, which gave him the direction to document these meetings. He also made a point to say he did not do this with other presidents, that he did this for a reason because of those specific concerns. Another thing that really stuck out to me was the idea that after President Trump tweeted that Comey should be worried about there being tapes, that prompted Comey then to send those memos to a friend, describe those memos to a friend with the intention of that friend leaking them to the press in order for Comey to clear his name and also to show his side of the story and to also prompt the appointment of a special counsel. That's significant here. And a couple other things that were interesting besides Comey's words were the way in which Republicans kind of threaded a line of defense for the president. Yes, they were clear to say what he did was inappropriate, but they had some specific questions about why Comey stayed in those meetings, why he went to those meetings. And James Comey also gave Republicans some more ammunition today, unexpectedly, with the Loretta Lynch discussion, which I suspect there will be more talk about, and we'll talk about more here. Caitlin, back to you in a moment, but first I want to go to Nancy Cordes, who is in Washington. Nancy, so for all the talk about, for all the buildup in this and the potential for this to be an inflated hearing, it was remarkably on time.
Yes, and that is because Senator Burr of North Carolina, who is the chair of this committee, is a taskmaster, and he made it very clear at the outset of this hearing that senators were going to get 7 minutes each to ask their questions, and that the hearing was going to have to wrap up by now because they've now got a closed hearing with former Director Comey to go over all of the questions that they asked in the open hearing that he couldn't answer because a lot of the material that's being discussed is classified. And they want answers to those questions as much as they want answers to all the things we heard about in public this morning. So there was a quick lunch break, and now at 1 p.m. Eastern, they're now all going back into this closed session. And so very few of these senators tried to mess with that timing at all. There was only one point that I heard where Senator Burr even had to wrap the gavel, and that's when Senator McCain, right at the end, was questioning Comey. Otherwise, everybody really stuck to the rules and stayed within that 7-minute time frame.
Jeff Pegues, also in Washington. Jeff, so in addition to the layers that Caitlin was talking about that James Comey provided in addition to what we heard in his prepared testimony, and that is that he believes the president is prone to lying, and that is he hopes there are these tapes available. There was also this strong introduction where he said he wishes he had a chance to say a proper goodbye to the FBI.
Well, no, and that's a good point, Jeff, that you bring up there. The fact that he started this hearing off, not with the prepared statement that we all thought was coming, the one that was released yesterday, but instead he ad-libs through his opening remarks. And in those opening remarks, he called his firing, or at least the account of his firing, lies. So that really set the tone, really, about this hearing and what was coming in the minutes to come. And we saw that with Comey, several revelations there that perhaps many of us weren't expecting. You know, for one thing, on the Clinton private email server issue, he was considering calling for a special counsel. That was news. The fact that he was considering that, kicking that around after this meeting on the tarmac between former Attorney General Loretta Lynch and former President Bill Clinton, the fact that he was kicking around calling for a special counsel, can you imagine what kind of uproar that would have caused at that point in the campaign? And so I thought that was a really interesting revelation, but also speaking to the Russia investigation and whether there were ties between the Trump campaign and Russian operatives, Russian officials, how he described the interactions with the president, I thought that was important. And that is something that I think will be important going forward as we learn more about this investigation, but also how he was trying to shield members of the FBI from these meetings, trying to make sure that the agents who are working in the counterintelligence division, who are working on this investigation, were shielded from accounts of these meetings with the president, because Comey felt that if they were aware of these meetings and what the president was asking of Comey, it could send a chill across the investigation. So I thought that was important, Jeff.
And Jeff, as you mentioned, there is a lot that's hard to imagine here, but today in testimony, James Comey accusing the White House of lying and saying he believes the president himself is prone to lying, and then the White House now feeling compelled to come out and say the president is not a liar. If that's not a headline and quite a development in the history of their country, we're not sure entirely what is.